Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast with your host, Justin Tamsett. With over 30 years in the fitness industry, JT is a globally recognized authority with a mission to lower healthcare costs worldwide by getting more people moving and moving more often in quality facilities with qualified professionals. Every episode, JT digs deep with our guests to bring you insights that will help you lead, innovate, and boost your bottom line. So let's dive in. Take it away, JT.
Stories are remembered up to 22 times more than facts alone. Incorporating storytelling can boost conversion rates by up to 30%. 92% of consumers prefer ads that feel like stories. And utilizing relatable stories about enjoying coffee moments, Nescafe increased its market share by 2.5%. Oh, and by the way, integrating storytelling into their campaigns saw the Sydney Children's Hospital Foundation raise over $100 million. So do you get the idea how important storytelling is in your marketing mix? But are you wondering, where do I start? Well, you start right here and listen to this episode as Danielle will rock your storytelling socks right off. This season, remember, we flipped the script. Season 3 of the Fitness Business Podcast is your cue to stop just learning and start actions. It's all from talk to action and starts right now. Next week is our second live online event with Matt Spears. He's a financing wizard. Matt will discuss challenges for gym owners, how finance can help with growth, what finances are available to gyms, how to obtain finance to grow your business, and why strategy for business and personal wealth growth is really important. Just go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/online events to register for Matt's event, or indeed any of our other events that are still to come. There is a link in the show notes. By the way, if you're listening to this and Matt's event is already in the past, don't panic, you can still see it. This is available for all our FBP insiders. So just go to patreon.com/fitnessbusinesspodcast and become an FBP insider, and you will get access to all of these online events. Now, before we roll into wise words from Dr. Patrick Porter, a shout out to our previous guest, an amazing supporter, Ben Ludwig, who sent us a voice message this week.
Hey JT, Ben Ludwig here. As a multiple visit guest on the Fitness Business Podcast, I just want to say that I really appreciate the fact that every time I hop on and listen to a new episode, leaders in the industry always have nuggets of knowledge to share. And let me tell you, I use those nuggets of knowledge every single day in managing staff and having vendor conversations and having third-party relation conversations. I tell you what, it's just been such an honor to be able to listen to the episode, and especially the fact that I've been on a couple times. I love the industry knowledge and just the fact of how open people are to sharing. Appreciate all you do, JT.
Thanks, Ben, and we'd love to hear from more of our FBP community. Please go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/leave a voice message and leave us a voice message so we can share it with our community. Now, Dr. Patrick Porter is a neuroscience expert revolutionizing mental fitness through brainwave entrainment and technology. And in segment 3 with him, I start off wise words with asking him to explain what is brain tap.
What brain tap does is it resets your circadian rhythm with that blue light as well. Now, the ear lights, when there's lights in the ears, that a lot of people go, what the heck is that all about? Well, how light energy works is it's going to your blood, your hemoglobin actually absorbs light energy. It's doing it right now, even without the brain tap. So your body's absorbing the light energy from wherever you're at around the room or outside. Better, of course, if it's outside. And then that cell charges with that photon energy. So it's got light energy. It then circulates through the body. And then when it finds a cell that's in apoptosis or cell death, it will then absorb that energy and it will start what's called the Krebs cycle. Now, instead of that mitochondria making one or two of these ADP molecules, it's going to make up to 32 times that amount. That's what light energy does. So when we measure the brain and we say, hey, so think for a moment, when we were born, we know that your brain was probably at 18.1 volts. That's why we could learn everything. Our brain was totally wired up. We had a lot of energy. As a kid, we have lots of energy. But as we age, that voltage goes down. So let's say that it goes below 6, you're going to have dementia. Goes below 4, you're going to have Alzheimer's. We've done studies where we showed in 6 weeks, we've taken everybody off the dementia scale. Now, we don't have a time for the Alzheimer people because depending on how far they're gone, they need more than just brain. They might need a laser. They might need what we call a light helmet. They need more energy at the cellular level so the cells can regrow. The brain can regrow at any age. So what we know is light energy is something the cells need. Dr. Cousins here in America, he wrote the most underprescribed nutrient, light. So when you think about light as a nutrient in the body, it actually makes vitamin D and a bunch of other things. It's not really a vitamin, it's a hormone, and it's made by light. So our body has needs a lot of light for what they call transmitters and receivers on the cell level.
I love my Brain Tap and cannot speak more highly about it. Go to this week's episode's show notes, click on the link to grab your own Brain Tap. I promise you, you'll not regret it. It's amazing. Who is Danielle Krischik? Danielle is a partner and chief strategy officer for the Knight Agency. She is a speaker, an author, and award-winning creative director. She helps companies just like you guys build belief, enable people, and drive performance. When you listen to her, you'll pick up on her ability to capture authentic voices and tell real stories that help organizations create connection. And Danielle is a keynote speaker at the Rex Leadership Academy. So if you like what you hear today, check out rexleadershipacademy.com. So I kick off the interview today with why do stories go beyond entertaining us and how are they good for business?
I'm going to nerd out with you for a minute because there's actual neuroscience behind why this is important. So when you hear the word storytelling, and I'm thinking about a gym owner kind of hearing that, it sounds like creative fluff. It sounds like, do I really need to spend time and money on that? Like, why does that matter? The truth is stories create emotional connection. So think of the difference between being presented with facts and being presented with a story. A story actually changes your brain chemistry. It releases dopamine and oxytocin. And those chemicals not only make you feel something, but they initiate action. And action in the fitness industry equals money because it's people signing up, staying with your gym, staying there as an employee. All of those decisions come from the emotional responses due to a story that the brand tells. So there's neuroscience. And by the way, this is Dr. Paul Zach's work. I had him on my podcast. Fascinating. He's written books and white papers about this, so you can go and nerd out if you want to. But ultimately, there is scientific proof that stories drive emotional connection, which drives action.
And if anyone's interested, quick, give your podcast a plug.
Yeah, it's a story effect. Thank you for that.
Give me a definition of what a story is, because I think there could be people going, oh, is it a marketing message? Is it a tagline? When you say story, what do you mean?
Yeah. So when I say story in this context, I'm not really talking, I mean, obviously story has a million definitions, but I'm not talking about a novel. I'm not talking about kind of, that side of it. I'm talking about a narrative that really describes who you are, why you're here, what you care about, what you value, where you're going aspirationally, kind of all wrapped into one narrative. And it's the basis for how a brand shows up in the world. And when I say brand, I mean your gym or your series of gyms. It's how your brand shows up in the world, how people can interpret and understand it and connect with it.
I mean, we must have in our clubs thousands of stories of members that have achieved results. They've overcome cancer, they've climbed Mount Everest, been able to get pregnant. Who knows? Not even been able to find a husband or a wife. So there's thousands of stories. Are they the things you you should be thinking about, or am I off the mark?
No. So, okay, there's categories, right? When you're talking about your brand story, it's what I just mentioned. What you're talking about are people stories. Those are so powerful for businesses. So, if you tell stories about your employees or you enable your employees to tell stories about their lives and everything, then you're driving connection with each other. It's harder to leave an organization or a business when you love the people you work with, when you're friends with the people you work with, and you create those connections when you know each other's story. When you're talking about people stories on the outside, client stories, those are the most beautiful proof points that your business is legit and awesome and amazing, right? So those transformation stories, for example, are so powerful for the fitness industry. This changed my life. I was 300 pounds and now I'm 140 pounds and I'm pure muscle, and I landed my dream job. I landed my husband. Right? Like those stories are so powerful. And I did it all at this gym. So there's an ecosystem of storytelling that shows up in kind of all different ways. It's not only your brand story, but it's your people stories too.
I think in general, the industry does those member stories well. They probably turn them into testimonials more than stories. Is there a difference between a testimonial and a story?
Yes. So remember what I said about facts versus story? A testimonial is more about kind of spitting out the facts. It's like, I've been a member for 3 years now, and I love this gym. I get great workouts. Like, did you feel anything when I said that? Like, no, right? Like, there's nothing to relate to there. Versus when I started at this gym, I had the most incredible self-doubt. I felt I was a shell of myself as a person. And I went in there and the staff made me feel comfortable right from the beginning, showed me how to use the equipment, even kind of showed me some moves because I really didn't know what I was doing. Fast forward 2 years and I am the most confident person in the world. And so much so that it's impacted every aspect of my life. I love the way I feel, and it's all because of this gym. It's like totally different.
What gym's that, Danielle? I think I might join that one.
That's exactly it, right? But you hear those kind of stories and you attach to that. I'll give you a great example. I'm going to cheat sheet and look at my notes because I can't remember all these facts. But let's take 2 different Pilates brands, okay? We're going to go real narrow and specific, but this is a great example. So we have Club Pilates. That's a franchise, right? Their leading message is Pilates is for everybody. And there's a little play on words there. Well, if it's for everybody, and I'm not dissing them, but that's the lane they chose. But if it's for everybody, then it's really for nobody, right? Because they can't target a specific audience with that message. So their hour class, it's like 50 minutes, but let's call it an hour, is anywhere from $25 to $35 for the class. Now you have Forma. Forma is that invite only. The celebs love it. The Kardashians use it. Super exclusive, okay? Their message is a luxurious approach to private training to improve and heal the body, okay? A luxurious approach. They charge $75 for a class, and their private classes are $500. And there's a wait list. So the story impacts the price point. I mean, that's how powerful that is.
That's a great example. And the word and the emotion that comes out. Not to mention the tone in your voice, which if you're using video to get the message out, has a big impact.
Yes, and it also impacts the way the studio looks and feels. If it's a studio for everybody, right? It's probably bright blue. It's probably like, it looks kind of like family fun fitness. But if it's a luxurious boutique experience, it probably has like a spa-like appearance. The equipment's probably the top of the line. I mean, they probably spend incredible amounts of money on the equipment alone, right? So the story is even a filter for the decision-making for the aesthetic of the studio, from the paint to the equipment.
I can see how story relates to brand. Can we backtrack? Because I took you on a tangent of a story of members, but one of the things you said, which I just don't think we do this well in our industry at all, which is the story of why staff work for us. What do you mean by that when you mentioned that earlier?
Yes. So your staff can make or break your brand as well. If they're happy, if they understand not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it, they become part of the overall experience. Even the person who might be standing at the desk just scanning the membership cards as you're walking in, right? If they're happy, if they're connected in all ways that you can connect to the brand, they will likely stay and they will likely be better performers. And by performers, I mean they're somebody at the front desk, they say, hey, good to see you again. Have a great workout versus thank you very much. When you swipe your card, right? If they're a trainer, they care deeply about every person that they spend time with. So they realize I'm not just going through the motions for an hour with somebody, but I have the potential to enable this person to see their own potential, and I could possibly impact their life, change their life. This is not a job. This is a calling for me. So it's really magical. So one of the ways you can do that is to enable your employees or your people to tell their stories and share their stories. So if it's let's say the gym opens at 8:00 in the morning and everybody gets there at 7:30, take 5 minutes to just have a story moment. Hey, give me some wins that happened last week. Anything really cool happen? An employee might say, oh my gosh, I just finally got my client Sarah to do a pull-up. We've been working at this for 6 months and the gym went crazy and it was so cool and I got so pumped, right? That puts energy into everybody, right? And it's a constant reminder of why we're doing this, which backs me up into the gym probably needs to spend time having a purpose and values so that can become the basis of those employee stories.
Yeah, I really like that. I remember where we met at a conference called Small Giants, and there was a gentleman there that was speaking on human resource management and employees and how to give employees value. And one of the things he talked about was the downstream impact of the employee. That's what you're talking about, Danielle, aren't you? That's the story, is the downstream impact of the lady that was able to do the pull-up and how that makes you as a staff member. Is that right?
Definitely. We all have experiences with businesses where you know that the employees are aligned, believing, and happy at work. And it's because they've done a great job with storytelling behind the scenes. Do you have Chick-fil-A where you live?
We do not have it in Australia, but I have frequented it a number of times in the United States.
Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. I love the cultural differences in this conversation. I think it's so cool. We're almost Melbourne to Melbourne. Just so everybody knows, I'm Melbourne, Florida, but you're Sydney. It would have been cooler if you said you were standing in Melbourne. But so Chick-fil-A has a really strong brand story and they do a really good job of internal storytelling. And when you go there, everybody's sort of speaking from the same script. They're very happy. They work with purpose. They know what they're doing. And you can feel it as a customer. You may not necessarily understand why you feel that way, but you absolutely feel it. That can 100% happen at a gym. You can turn your staff into the greatest client happiness enablers if you leverage stories to do that.
So there's probably people listening, whether they're big box clubs or studios, and thinking, shit, where do I start? Surely, as an expert in storytelling, you've got to give me a cheat sheet or a formula for telling a good story. What does that look like?
Yeah. So there are, if you Google it, you'll get a ton of formulas, right? I mean, they talk about the hero's journey. That's that Luke Skywalker kind of, journey of overcoming and leaving home and coming back and, and all that stuff. But I like to simplify it so you don't have to necessarily remember a formula. You just think about the essentials, right? And there's 3 of them. A good story will captivate, relate, and motivate. And I kind of made them rhymey so they'd stick a little bit. So captivate, relate, and motivate does not have to be in that order, but let's talk about it. So captivate, say something in the story that captures people's attention because the brain likes to stay in sort of this lazy mode where it doesn't really wake up unless it has to, which is a form of, the brain's working on keeping you alive and all those other, breathing and all those simple things, right? So captivating the audience gets their attention and instantly helps them. Okay, I'm hooked, I'm in, right? Motivate is about relating to human beings on a human being level. So if your gym is telling a story, even internally or externally, about being, epic and everybody's going to, be the best gym bro and going too far, too big where nobody can kind of relate to that on a human level, you kind of lose people. So knowing what your audience is and relating to them is super important. And then motivate, get people to do something or think something differently with your story. So there should be, if you're telling a story externally, for example, what's the call to action? If you want to change your life, come give us a try. We are life changers. So captivate, relate, motivate. Does not have to be in that order, but those are the essentials of a great story.
Okay, I've got the captivate and I got the relate and I got the motivate. I've got the words from either the staff member or the member on the story. Here's what petrifies me. Somebody listening today gets that and then drops it into ChatGPT to sharpen it. That would then lose all authenticity, wouldn't it?
ChatGPT is a powerful tool and it's great to come up with ideas and angles. But I would strongly recommend that you try to be as human as possible in your communication. You're as human as possible because we can still tell, we can still feel it. And human also means imperfect. It's not a glossy commercial magazine article. It's a real story. Maybe it's about grit. Maybe it's about overcoming. Maybe it's about starting small. Come in, spend 20 minutes with us and just lift the light weights and just see how it feels. Right? You will not get that language from ChatGPT. And by the way, I've tested it to try it, not to cheat, I swear, just to see, like, can this machine replace me? So far, no. So far, it cannot. Now, the other thing I will say is, if this still is intimidating, there's value in spending money with a marketing or consulting firm that does this for a living. They can help you at least set the ground, the foundation for storytelling, and then you can take it and version it and use it and slice and dice it from there. But and that's not a plug necessarily for what we do, but sometimes it is valuable to kind of get somebody to help you get your story down, or even give you the prompts to ask your employees or your clients the right questions to get the best stories.
I'm not trying to get you out of work, but once I've worked with you and I've got the concept, can I then run myself because I've now got the code?
Potentially, if who you hire not only gives you the story strategy, but they give you a playbook on what to do with it. So it's really not a one and done exercise. It's a foundational piece that then requires a lot of activation so that it can really work for you and take on a life of its own. So what we do at night is we create a story strategy, and then we give our clients an actual PDF playbook of all the best practices of ways that you can use this story, bring it to life, some of which you can really do on your own. But you need both. You need both. And it's ongoing. I need to mention that. You need to continuously use stories and tell stories if you want the best results and the deepest connection.
Okay, so now, and I'm nearly done. I've got this question and then one more. I've got my story and I love my story. Oh my God, I love my story. What the hell do I do now? Is it a blog? Is it a social media post? Am I putting it on a brochure that's going to sit in a shop or a salon that we do combined marketing with? What the hell do we do with this story?
Yeah, great question. You start inside. So you start internally with your team and you make sure that everybody understands it, believes in it, and feels it. And there's a lot of ways to do that, right? You might spend a little money and create a brand video with your story and play that for everybody and have a mini all hands or, like a town hall and play that. And then as the leader of the company, stand in front of everybody and say, that is who we are. And this is why I believe in it and why it matters. Get people involved in raising their hand and storytelling against your brand story. So, can anybody share any experience on how our purpose became true for them? Like, what was the moment you realized, yeah, this is our purpose and this is where we're going, and have everybody kind of tell story share against that. So start internally, make sure everybody believes it. Also, use it as a filter for decision making. If our story, for example, if the hook in our story is the best gym for gym bros ever, then you might want to scan the gym itself, right? Or the studio itself and make sure, is it really set up for gym bros to celebrate gym bros? Like, what does that mean? And I'm only using that because it's like a silly example, right? But like, do we have like heavy lift equipment? Do we have a protein shakes available so you could chug a protein shake and this is our workout, right? Like, make it for gym bros, by gym bros, for gym bros, right? And celebrate that and go all in on that. If it's luxury, back to my earlier example, make sure that your equipment is the best of the best. Make sure the music kind of lines up with that. You feel it. You have a towel service and maybe the towels are scented with lavender, right? Really use it as a filter for decision making. I actually had a conversation with a Rex Roundtable member, and one part of the conversation, he was talking about how he makes decisions to invest invest in equipment and extras that other gyms are investing in. That is probably a common thing for anybody in the fitness industry. Like, do we need a cold plunge at our gym? If you have a story that's centered in your purpose or your why, it makes for a great filter decision making. It's not everybody has it, I should have it. It's more, does it align with the gym bro gym we're trying to create? No, gym bros don't want that. They want, I don't know, insert massage room here, right? Like whatever it is. So that's what I would say, start internal. And then you can look at marketing tactics to bring it externally.
One of the things that I think some of the franchises do really well around the world is that story through the video. Now, for me, from the outside looking in, that's actually getting the franchisees to drink the Kool-Aid. So my filter of success on the storytelling would be how emotionally attached my staff then become to our brand after watching that video or reading that story because they've drunk the Kool-Aid. Is that a fair barometer?
That's part one of the barometer. Part two is, do they act differently? Do they behave differently? So they feel it, but then you actually see, all of a sudden, you see a staff member who typically hung out at the desk and just sort of hung there and talked to people a little bit. Now he's bringing somebody a towel who's doing a sweaty workout because he's now thinking like, oh, our purpose is all about to serve our community in the healthiest way. I just made that up, but right. And now you see him behaving differently, or you see, you know, like I said, the person at the front desk treating people a little bit differently, going above and beyond. So step one is you can tell people are feeling it, right? You look around the room and it's like, you can see it. You can hear it when they're storytelling. You want to actually see it in behaviors.
Oh, I love that. That's a great barometer, the behavior change. If I go to a brand in the US, Nordstrom, they tell great stories, don't they? That would be a good case study for a gym to look at.
That's a fantastic one. I love that you brought that up. Here's what I love about it. Nordstrom created their values, okay? Values are the beliefs that your company or organization has. They're your boundaries for what you will and will not do, and they're the way that you show up in the world, right? There's a case study about this. Instead of Nordstrom hanging posters, you know, some companies will hang posters of all their values: integrity, courage, accountability. You know what I'm talking about, right? Enron had great values too, right? Excellence, integrity. And look what happened with Enron. So Nordstrom didn't do that. They didn't do typical values training. What they did instead is they told stories of when the values showed up in real life with real customers. And because of that, you feel it when you walk into a Nordstrom. It is a favorite department store for a reason. People love that place because the way they're treated. So that kind of goes back to leveraging employees and employee stories, right? They might not have brands that, I mean, Bloomingdale's has the same, and I'm not dogging Bloomingdale's, but Bloomingdale's might have the same brands, but it feels different to shop at Nordstrom.
Yeah, I love that. Now, you've educated us a whole lot on storytelling, and our theme for season 3 is to take action. So let's activate everybody. What's the most powerful action a gym owner or manager could take right now after listening to Danielle?
I would think this would be the power move, okay? Gym owner, get you and your partners or your executive staff or whoever are decision makers or influencers, have an offsite, get everybody together in a room and sit them down and say, we're going to really nail our story. We know what we do. We create gyms. We have a franchise, right? But we need to really nail down why we do it. Get everybody together and ideate on your why, or some people call it a purpose statement, right? Bring everybody in and kind of get them ideating on what is that? Challenge yourselves. Don't say to make money. Money is an outcome, right? And by the way, we're not talking about philanthropy. Nothing wrong with that as a goal, but a purpose is deeper than that. A purpose is an impact on human beings. Right? So is it to impact the community in a certain way? Is it to help every individual who walks in the doors see their greatest potential, right? Is it to ensure that people realize their potential in our gym so they can realize their potential outside our gym? Like, you know, spitballing ideas, but make sure that you all believe in it, you all feel it. Write a statement down. Our purpose is, bam. Then think about your values. What are the things that you believe in that you stand for? Write those down. Then turn all that into action. So write a little bit of language around each value that can make the value more than just a word, but an action or a behavior that you want to see inside your gym. I know that one of the values for Rex is vulnerability. And I love the language underneath because it's not about looking weak. I think it's something to this effect. It's not about weakness. It's about the courage to show up, right? I'm paraphrasing. That really gives somebody a sense of what we expect and what we mean when we say the word vulnerability. I would say get your purpose down and get your values down. That is like the first step, 101 to the beginning. Start there.
That's a great first step for everybody. Danielle, amazing.
When we first met at Small Giants, it was funny because we sat at a table and I was going to be a speaker. And I said, I'm so nervous. And you said, why are you nervous? I said, I don't know. I'm speaking in front of people. I'm so nervous. And you like totally dialed it up. And I you know what? I went up there and I swung for the fences because you sort of lit that competitive fire in me. And, you know, it's just been cool because now I get to be a part of your leadership summit for Rex and get to be on your podcast. And it's just been awesome to work with you. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Danielle. It's been a great chat because I think you've really educated our industry on what storytelling actually is and how it can benefit our business. And I loved all the emotion that you talked about throughout the entire interview. And I like the geeking out and the nerdy stuff as well.
Neuroscience. You can't argue with science.
No, ma'am, you cannot. So, yes, you will see Danielle at the Rex Leadership Academy in July. You can still register for that. So come along, listen to Danielle, and then have a conversation with her afterwards. We will put all the Night Agency details in the episode notes so that you can reach out to Danielle directly as well if you're interested in doing some work with her. But thank you, Danielle, for all your time today.
Thank you. It's been awesome. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Danielle. And it's so obvious you tell a great story based on our chat today. If you'd like to know more, then go to our show notes and there are links to Danielle's company, LinkedIn, her podcast. I guarantee when you contact her, she will respond. And remember, she is keynoting the Rex Leadership Academy, rexleadershipacademy.com. Trusted suppliers this episode from Rex Roundtables are Matrix, commercial fitness equipment, technology, and programming. Performance Foods, providing turnkey smoothie bar solutions for gyms. MyZone, monitoring, tracking, and enhancing fitness through heart rates. MXM Metrics, analyzing and improving gyms through member metrics. And Max Members, automating member management and engagement. You'll find all their details in this week's show notes. It's time to fess up. Have you checked out the FBP Insiders yet? You can get your download a week earlier, ad-free, plus bonuses, and so much more. In fact, you can actually see the uncut interview I did with Dr. Patrick Porter. So go to patreon.com/Fitness Business Podcast and become an FBP Insider for less than $5 a month. Now, our next episode will include part 4 of Wise Words from Dr. Patrick Porter, plus a ripping interview with Shana Hyder. Shana was the keynote speaker at the Health and Fitness Association March event. I grabbed her straight after to get her on our show to discuss AI. You'll love her practical tips for using AI to expedite your business operations every day. So what's with our sign off? Well, we feel passionately at Fitness Business Podcast HQ, ancient wisdom speaks directly to the heart of what we do. Just like Pericles, who understood that the greatest tributes are the lasting impressions we leave on people, we believe that the real measure of our success is to connect, guide, and positively influence our fitness industry. That's why we close every episode with, what we leave behind is not set in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.